All the content contained in this webcast is for informational purposes only. The investments and strategies contained in this webcast may not be suitable for you. Please consult your own independent financial advisor before making any investment or trading decisions. Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to the end of the week, Thursday, premarketinfo.com show, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day. Welcome back, Dennis. How was the Big Apple?
The Big Apple was pretty good. It was a quick trip. I was in and out two quick days. Did get down to the NYSE, which was kind of fun, so got down there on the floor, seen the CNBC studio. So it was a lot of fun, Joel.
Okay, well, you missed the beginning of the breakdown in the market, Dennis. So far, that 1400 level has not held. Globex high currently stands at 1397.75. That's about a point away from yesterday's intraday high. The current low, 1384, Dennis. We're getting a little bounce off that, but we're coming perilously close to that 1380.50 number, which we've been looking at now for like the past 2 weeks to see if this market's really going to break down.
Yeah, Joel, definitely weaker here again. A little bit of follow-through from yesterday. I think Europe's got a little bit to do that too, because some of these European banks continue to break down.
Okay, I was looking at some key support levels, kind of see if this is really going to be a sell-off or not. Two of those support levels are in the oil stocks. I've been really focusing on 85 and ExxonMobil. We took it out yesterday, got a rebound, but is now getting pounded in the pre-market. This stock may be finally ready to break down. Chevron Corporation, been preaching about this 104.92 to 105 level. Sniffed it yesterday, but was able to rebound off the close. Those are two key levels to keep an eye on. Moving on to the other stocks of the Big Ten, Apple Computer. Took a little bit off yesterday. I'd really be looking for a sell-off on that stock if we take out the 618 level. And finishing up, Dennis, AT&T had a pretty strong day for going ex-dividend today.
Yeah, Joel, AT&T had that run-up. You know, we talk about this a lot of times. What happens before the stock goes ex-dividend, it will have a run-up into the ex-dividend. You get these players coming in that want to capture the dividend. And AT&T has an attractive dividend yield, and that's exactly probably what happened yesterday. You know, when you're down 140 points and the stock's up 14 cents, obviously the relative strength is very strong. So it does go ex-dividend today. 31.57 is not the closing price. It's adjusted now down to 31.13. Stock actually holding up well, trading 31.12 in the pre-market. So considering we're down 6, it's a little bit above that fair value. But a lot of times what you'll see is these stocks, and it doesn't happen immediately, but sometimes they start to get disinterested for the month after they go to ex-dividend. So it wouldn't surprise me if AT&T's relative strength from the last few days starts to show a little bit of relative weakness as people get disinterested in it. Verizon is another one. They go ex-dividend the same day. Similar story. We've had a bounce up from the lows there about 5 trading sessions ago. Bounced up, kind of hung out here. Went ex-dividend today. The adjusted close is now 37.89, not 38.39 as this is showing. It's actually 37.89 when you adjust it. So think about that support area, that 37.56, where you have that low if you're trading that today.
Yeah, with the AT&T, I mean, if you bought it, you could have probably bought it on the cheap yesterday, got the dividend, and now get out flat. I'm sure you'll find your sellers on the open in AT&T. Moving on to the financials, Dennis, we have talked about the $10 level in Bank America. Could never close above that level. Gap down yesterday through Friday's low. I mean, Dennis, this is not a pretty looking chart at all.
No, it's not, Joel. And a lot of these financial charts are starting to not look that pretty either. It's down another 5 cents today, so not getting a lift. But man, we've had this, ridiculous run up from 8 to 10, which in 5 trading sessions is a ridiculous move for the stock. That's as thick as Bank America. It tried 2-3 times to get through that $10 area. Obviously, didn't do it. Now it's been pulling back, and when stocks run up that fast, they can move down that fast, and there's not a heck of a lot in here. So, if you're thinking this thing's going to bounce, I think it's a hard call. There's just a lot of air in here, and when there's a lot of air, it's hard to say, it's going to go up or down. But it was a breakdown day yesterday, and I think rallies should be sold in the stock.
Yep, $9 is probably a psychological level there, Dennis. Even though really there was no stopping points at 9, 8.85 was the low on March 16th. So I'd be keeping an eye on that level. We talked about Goldman Sachs breaking down too, Dennis. 120 seemed to be the level. It held in there yesterday, 119.86. Trading down there in the pre-market, but kind of similar with the Bank of America chart, Dennis. I mean, what's going to stop this thing between now and 115?
Yeah, well, I don't know, Joel. That's the scary thing. Like you can see, you had quite a bit of support down here at 115, but that's $5 away. These stocks are breaking down. They all look kind of similar to me, and the European banks are kind of leading the way, Joel. If you bring up some of these charts of like the INGs, these things are quietly really starting to get ugly here again. Like look at ING's chart there, Joel. Beginning of the year, we've had this straight up run from $7 all the way to $9.50, ridiculous. Pulled back, consolidated, but again, really in the last 5 sessions, this thing's fallen off 10%. It's down again this morning, trading down another, 15 cents at $7.42. The European banks are they're getting nervous over there in Europe, and the U.S. financials have a lot of exposure, if these European banks start to get into struggle again, and I think it's starting to make our U.S. financials weaker as well.
Well, these, if you take this ING chart, it's basically been in the range. It's under $6 back in October, and then got a quick pop above 10. Came down, made a higher low at 650 area, or excuse me, 624, and then on the rebound, made a lower high at the $10 area. It's coming straight down here. These things are tough to trade. I mean, this thing is really falling off a cliff here. I'm just surprised that our financials have not been hit more. But the reason for that, Dennis, listen to CNBC, man. We're decoupled from Europe. Europe's not a problem.
Europe's not a problem. It was a problem.
Europe is not a problem. Okay. And what they're doing is they're selling their ING and their Deutsche Bank, and they're buying our financials.
Maybe some people are doing that, but all I know is when you have major problems over, it's a global economy now.
No, it's not.
Okay,
it's our economy, and we're the best, and everyone just sells other countries and buys America. That's a new spread.
That's what the U.S. thinks sometimes, but unfortunately not true. But regardless, here we are starting to see some weakness in these U.S. financials. J.P. Morgan down here this morning too, Joel. It was a breakdown day yesterday for J.P. Morgan. Really, if you look at this chart, it topped out multiple times in this whole 46 area, a few times above it. 2 days ago, obviously, we had a pretty decent breakdown day. Follow through yesterday, significant sell-off, and then today we're following through a little bit again. Yesterday's low, 43.96. We're just above there right now at 44.08. If we start to cut through there, it could open up in a hurry again too, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, you want to know what the only thing that stopped J.P. Morgan from going down yesterday?
What's that?
On the 10:15 update, I came down and it was trading under 44, and I said, "There's absolutely no support in the 43 handle."
And then it bounced straight up.
Yeah. I mean, I said, but of course I put the caveat. Well, that doesn't mean it's not going to stop at a 43 handle.
Yeah.
But you had the sellers, and not just in J.P. Morgan, but in the market. The sellers were in the market early in the day. We made the low. And then it's almost as like they just say, okay, let the HFT guys, mess around. They let the market float back up. They come in. They want to sell again on the close. There's volume in the last 15 minutes, and they come in and sell again. Knock 3 points off the spoos, and now we're down 6. So it's that 43 handle just scares me here in the J.P. Morgan.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of air. It scares me too. So hopefully it can hold the 44 and we don't have to worry about it. But man, it starts to cut through there again, make new lows. Low yesterday. I would not want to be long that stock. Retail sales, Joel. Retail sales.
You been out shopping, Dennis?
I haven't been doing too much shopping, but it looks like some people have because we got some pretty decent retail sales coming out. It's Retail Sales Thursday. Gap just came out, GPS, and numbers look good, man. This stock just keeps doing everything right. Obviously, this year, this has been one of the best performers. The stock was at $18 bucks at the beginning of the year, 26.65 the close, trading 27.35 this morning on these retail sales, Joel. GPS is looking very strong today.
Well, two fundamental notes here in the gaps. Number one, I went out to the mall, which I don't do very often, with my wife Lisa, and she spent a boatload of money at Gap, and she has she has not done that in a long time. So I upgraded Gaps. That was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So your wife's responsible for these great same store sales.
Yeah, leading economic indicators. Do they still have that statistic, or did they get rid of that?
I don't know.
And then the other upgrade is that there's in my area that I live in, Farmington Hills, West Bloomfield, they had this huge store, just massive size. And I noticed this over the last couple of years, man, they gave back a bunch of space. They reduced that footprint. Probably are selling the same amount of stuff, so they reduced their costs on. I think that the restructuring they've done to smaller stores, paying less per square foot and selling more stuff online is probably working for them. But that stuff doesn't mean anything if you're short the stock or trying to trade it today. What you want to keep an eye on is 27.75. That's a level that it's hit in the pre-market. We're a little bit off that. Going to look at the longer-term charts, Dennis. This stock was trading above levels it hasn't seen since April of 2010, which was 26.34. So could run into a little bit of trouble here. I'd keep an eye on the pre-market activity under 27. I wouldn't want to be long this stock.
Yeah, under 27. Needs to hold that 27. I agree, Joel. That's the old 52-week high is 27 bucks. If it opens above there, sometimes you never know. Like these things can move a lot. You still got an hour before the open here, so they can move around a lot. So use that 27 for a swing number. If we don't open above there, then the stock could get weak in a hurry. If we do open, take that out. It needs to hold that 27 to continue the rally.
Yeah, Dennis, before you move on, I just want to make a quick note, just a similar situation alert our traders to. We talked about Monsanto yesterday.
Okay.
And Monsanto had a pre-market high. It was up around 83.35. And lo and behold, it hit 83.27. They had good numbers. Everyone loved them, upgrades and everything. They hit that level that they hit in the pre-market, and then they tank. So these pre-market levels are important, folks. If it comes up shy or does not get to that number, a lot of times it's indication of a turnaround.
Yeah, so you got to keep an eye on those pre-market highs and lows. That's a very good point there, Joel. Target, TGT, had same-store sales here as well, and they're good too. 58.50 right now. It's trading after closing at 57.82. So Target getting right back up over this 58 area where it broke down from yesterday. I'd say it definitely needs to hold that 58 to continue the rally. A couple tops here in this 58.84, 58.95 area. So I'd expect that whole 59. Let's call that area 59 bucks. The 52-week high is 58.95. I'll call that whole area major resistance. You know those high-frequency guys love to sniff out those 52-week highs. Love to sniff out. There's probably some institutional size wouldn't surprise me at 59. So I expect some high-frequency resistance in the high 58s, Joel. What do you think of Target?
Do you have anything in the book there, or is that too high up?
I don't see anything in the book, but like we said, so many, institutions, you can't show your orders for the most part. Some do, but for the most part, most of them don't anymore, because there's so many high frequency traders, that'll just lean on their orders. So, but, when you see the chart forming, 3, 4 multiple times up there, it makes me think that there's, probably, the high frequency traders are always in control. They basically make the chart. So if they're selling it there, it makes me think that, there's probably a reason they're selling it there, and maybe there is some institutional traders that are selling it up there in that 59 area, and that would mean the high frequency guys selling in front of them at 58.90, 58.95.
Okay. Well, another fundamental note here. I'll have to go with the upgrade in Target too. I went there last week with Lisa. There was a couple things she needed for my daughter.
Oh, jeez, shopping.
She better not be listening to the show today.
No, you're gonna be on. You're gonna be on.
No, and she went there, and there was like some binders. She goes, "Do you know how much cheaper these binders are here than they IR at like Office Max, and then she walked through the food section, and she said, "Oh man, these prices are great. We're gonna start shopping here."
Oh, so she's being thrifty for you there, Joel.
Yeah, I know. I gotta appreciate that.
Give her some props.
She'd probably be selling this if she was long. No, she'd probably be keeping an eye on this 58.50 level. That's encompassed 3 of the last 4 highs. It is sneaking up there in the pre-market, but as I look at this chart here, it's just stopped. There's a seller out there. Above the 58.50, Dennis, you're right. You could break up and hit that 59 level, but I would keep a close eye on 58.50 as a swing number.
This is a scary one. Whenever you have stock opening to this much resistance, sometimes they can turn around and give it back. So keep an eye on it. Needs to hold that $58. Start breaking down from $58. I get nervous. TJX is another one. There's so many same-store sales here today. Here's an interesting one, though. TJX is trading 40.10 right now. Trade as high as $40.34. I'm going to tell you right now, $40 is the number on this thing. I see size there in the New York book. That will become active at 9:30. Over 70,000 shares there. I also see $39.99 being the 52-week high. I'd be surprised if this thing's got enough gas to open over $40. Not saying that it can't, but I would be surprised if this thing opens over $40. It may take it out after the open, but $40 is a big number on this thing, Joel.
I have to agree, Des. I'm looking at this monthly chart on this thing, and I think this is one of the most bullish charts I've ever seen here. Since 2009, it looks like this thing has just been straight up from $10. I'd be selling it if I was long, but there's really nothing in this to indicate a short until it breaks below this 39 level. This is just a runaway bull here. Hard for me to comment on stocks that go straight up like this.
Well, talk about thrifty shopping. I'll give my wife some props here now because she likes shopping there. This is TJ Maxx, so but TJX is the symbol here. But she likes shopping there too, and this stock has obviously performed very, very well. So maybe it's my wife helping it out there too, Joel. But $40 is a big number on this thing. So I'm just going to reiterate that one more time. If it can, take out that 40, I would not want to be short this stock though. So keep that eye 40. Use 40 as your bogey. Other ones here, Joel. We've got Macy's reporting same-store sales. All your retailers. So if you're trading any retailer today, you want to see what the same-store sales are because the majority of them are reporting their same-store sales today. But Macy's is trading up here too, Joel. 41.30 after closing 40.95. A lot of these retailers, man, they're all making new 52-week highs, and this one is too. 41.26 is the high just made a few days ago. It's trading just a few cents above there, so keep an eye on that number. But man, when these stocks are making new 52-week highs, really tough to be short them, Joel.
Yeah, when it comes to these department stores, I just go in there and I like who buys all this stuff, and they're all the same. But from a technical standpoint, it is breaking out. 41.26 was the old high. We're trading above there, so use that as your swing number. It did trade up to 41.80 in the pre-market, so that'd be the next level. Imagine there'll be some sellers at that $42 level. But Dennis, let's revisit our old buddy J.C. Penney. We've been talking about that show since the show we began our show a few months ago.
Yeah, boy, that's the first time in a while.
Yep, and look at starting to form a little bit of a bottom here. So 34 would be a nice stop point. Maybe get a nice rounding bottom here. I'm not sure what their retail sales are, but let's keep an eye on that over the next couple days. And then another one, Dennis, that we totally missed the boat on, Sears. We were talking about that stock at $80. What a short rally short covering rally up there. Got to 85, and now it's back at 63.
Yeah, the stock, Joel, I was talking about it too, and I looked at shorting it, and the cost of, I can't remember what it was. I think it was like 45% a year or something ridiculous, though, and I was like, man, I just can't short that thing and pay, that kind of a, premium there and hold it, because I'd like to hold the thing short, because it's hard to call a top on this thing. You'd like to hold it for, a few weeks. So we were looking at when it was 80. It went up to as high as 87, so I would have taken a lot of heat on that short, but eventually it does give it back. I think it was a ridiculous short squeeze in Sears Sears Holdings. I do think Sears has a lot more trouble than than the chart is showing here. But when you have stocks that are that hard to borrow and cost that much to short, they can get overinflated, and shorts get squeezed on these things, and it will make them, the stocks move quite, it can move up in a hurry. I mean, Sears moved from $30 to $87 in 2 months. You're talking about 170% move here. It seems absolutely ridiculous, but at the same time, you could have said it, when it was at 70, you could have said it was 80. Eventually, we knew it was going to come back in, and obviously it has now, but...
Yep. Just let me finish real quickly on this. We were talking about 80, and then we would have definitely got shaken out around 85, 90. And I could specifically remember speaking with you, and I said, let's keep an eye on the 79 level. And if you look, there was a low at 78.80, and there was a low at 79.25. The double bottoms that we talk about. The next day, when it broke through that level is when it tanked. So we were just a little early on that one.
Gold. Let's just talk briefly about gold here, Joel. I know we're running short on time, but GLD is getting a lift here this morning. Obviously having a terrible day. Most of your gold stocks having a terrible day yesterday as well, breaking down. But it is getting a lift with the overall market here. Some of your other ones like Barrick Gold have just been ugly. The last 2 days in ABX has really been awful for the stock. I mean, this is a pretty lower, beta stock usually, PE is lower, but man, we had 2 days bang from 44 to $40.46. It is getting a little bit of a lift here, bouncing off that 46 low that it made yesterday. But Barrick Gold, what do you think of these Barrick Gold Corp and the gold overall, Joel?
Well, I think that Barrick, I think you were like a buyer around 44, right?
Yeah, I wrote calls on it. I got that in my little portfolio, swing portfolio there for full disclosure. I was buying in the 44 area, and I've got calls written. Those are a little bit more longer-term stuff. I do have my own little investment portfolio for me and my wife. And, so I'm under a little bit of heat there, Joel. You can make fun of me there. But I did rate the 44 calls against it, so I did rate it pretty low. I think I got a couple bucks for it, so I'm hedged down to 42, but with the thing trading 41.50, I am under a little bit of water right now.
It's tough to call this gold because now with the release of the Fed notes, I don't know if you had a chance to go over those at all. It doesn't sound like QE3 is really on the horizon, so that kind of has an added aspect to gold. I think that if you look at this and I can't call bottom yet. It gets these pops and then these drops. I would like to see it wash out here under 150 looking at the GLD. I mean, that's been the range, and that was low at the end of last year. So it's really in the middle of nowhere, Dennis.
Really, Joe, we're running short on time. We do have obviously a couple earnings. There's a few other things on our market mover sheet if you want to check that out. But what's your overall market comments here to close the show?
Well, we're ahead of a very unusual day in the markets where the unemployment data is going to be released tomorrow while the equities are actually closed. So I'm not looking for a big move today, Dennis. I'm looking for some position squaring. Keep a real close eye on that Globex low. Even if it got below there, I don't think I'd be too faked out. Been preaching about this 1380.50 number there. That's my main number on the downside. If we took that out, Dennis, it's going to be ugly. You're going to have a nice 10-point drop. Coming back on the upside, look for resistance at the close. The range could be in for today, Dennis. You could just be getting position squaring ahead of tomorrow's unusual day.
Yeah, that is an unusual day when you have an unemployment number and the market's not open. So jobless claims just came out too, obviously, and we're down just a little bit. 5 points holding up here, relatively strong though. Not too much movement off those jobless claims numbers, Joel.
Okay, well, everyone have a nice Good Friday, and hope you have nice Seders, eat a lot of matzah and a lot of matzo ball soup, and good Easter, and we'll be back with you on Monday.